All right, so today we're going to be talking about area and the different ways that we find area for different shapes. The one thing you really need to know about area is that it is always measured in units squared. So we would use the exponent of 2 to show that we are measuring area. The first one we're going to talk about is squares. So this is a review from previous years. So for squares, the formula is side times side, or side squared. So it gives us the side measurement right here. So to find area, we would go area equals, and we're going to times this number by itself, 7 times 7. So that means that our answer would be 49. If you look at the measurement, it's in meters, and since we're finding area, it's always squared. So the area of this square would be 49 meters squared. The next one we're going to look at is rectangles. So rectangles are something we are familiar with from 5th grade. So we are going to find the formula for this with as length times width. But in 6th grade, we start calling this base times height. So your base is usually your one that goes left to right or side to side. So this one is your length or your base. And then your second one is going to be your width. This one would be your width or your base, or your height, I'm sorry. So we're still going to follow the same formula and multiply it. So area equals 11 times 5. When I do the math, I get that my area equals 55. We're measuring in inches squared. So the area of this rectangle is 55 inches squared. Let's go on to our next one. So we're going to go to parallelograms. So these are very similar, but there's one thing I want you to know about parallelograms that's very important. Right over here on the side, the height is always straight. I want you to know that the height is always, always, always a straight line. So the area formula for a parallelogram is the same as a rectangle. So length times width or base times height. So when I'm saying this, the height is always straight. This is a straight line. It cannot be one of these lines right here. This is never going to be your height. Never use those sides. It's always going to be the straight one here. So the height is 4 and the base is 12. Base, goodness. So we're going to find the area of this parallelogram. We're going to do 12 times 4, and that gives us 48. So the area of this parallelogram is 48 feet squared. Now we're going to jump across and we're going to look at the triangle. So we're not going right next door, we're going to the triangle, not the trapezoid. So for the triangles, the area formula is 1/2 base times height. So if you remember, fractions mean divide by 2. So make sure you write that down. With triangles, you're going to do base times height, and you're always going to divide that number by 2 afterwards. Remember, the height is always a straight line. So this one is trying to trick you. It gives you a number for this line, which is 13. This is completely useless because it is not a straight line. Our height is going to be the 12. It's that straight line. Our base is going to be the 10. So height and base. So we're going to go ahead and figure this one out. Area equals 1/2 base times height, 10 times 12. So you can multiply first and then divide by 2, or you can divide a number by 2 and then multiply. It is completely up to you. So I want to do these two first. 1/2 times 10. 1/2 of 10 would give me 5. Now I'd bring down my next number times 12. And then when I do 5 times 12, I would get 60. So you can divide first or you can divide after. So this is 60. We're measuring in meters. It's area, so it is squared. Remember, with triangles, you always have to divide by 2. That's what the 1/2 means in your formula. Lastly, we're going to move on to trapezoids. Trapezoids are a little more confusing, and there's a little more steps to it, and you just really have to follow order of operations. All right, so on trapezoids, there is a unique and more complicated version. So when we look at this, it's actually 1/2, and then in parentheses, we have base 1 plus base 2 times the height. So with this, remember that 1/2 always means divide by 2. And then the height is always going to be straight. It's never going to be one of the slanted sides. So let me show you what I mean by base 1 and base 2. So for bases, these are the two parallel lines. So it doesn't matter which one is base 1 or base 2, as long as you have both of them. The height is always going to be the straight line. So this one is the height for this one, the 6 centimeters. It is never going to be these sides that are slanted. Those will never be it. So we have the height, base 1, base 2. So we're going to go ahead and find the area of this trapezoid. So area equals 1/2, and then in parentheses, I'm going to add both of my bases. So I have 9 plus 11 times the height, which is 6. So this is still following order of operations, so we have to do the adding in the parentheses first. So area equals 1/2, and then 9 plus 11 is 20 times 6. Now you can either multiply the numbers together first and then divide, or divide first. I like dividing first. So I'm going to do 1/2 of 20. So 1/2 of 20 is 10, and 10 times 6 gives me 60. So the area equals 60 centimeters squared. Trapezoids are a little more complicated, but just don't overthink it. The main thing with any areas is you never, ever use the slanted sides. It's always going to be the straight up and down ones, and make sure that your bases are parallel to each other, so they're straight across from each other. On the star, you're going to use the reference page on the back side of it where it has the inches measurements. This is all in the area section right here. All of these formulas are here for you. You do not have to memorize them, but you do have to know how to use them when given a question.